Hi, everybody. Welcome to Deborah Kobylt Live. We are playing Gloria Estefan at the top of the show today because last night, actually, I went to the opening of On Your Feet at the Pantages Theater here in Los Angeles. I know that it travels. It was spectacular. And we got to meet Gloria Estefan and all kinds of people. The cast was incredible. We'll talk a little more about that later in my second show. But right now, joining me on the phone is someone that I'm fascinated with, a brilliant woman, Marcy Meyers, who just wrote the book, Blessed with Energy. Marcy, thank you so much for being on with us.
Thank you for having me, Deborah.
Yeah.
It's an exciting opportunity to talk about bioenergetics and this aspect of the human body that we live with and aren't taught about.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is you are a bioenergetic therapist, and basically, as we talked yesterday on the phone, everyone has an electromagnetic field that supports their physical and psychological health. And it's true, we're not really tapping into that, correct? I mean, could you tell me a little bit about what is bioenergetic therapy? Like if I came to you and I said, I need to do this, what would you do with me?
So if we talk about bioenergetics, the first thing we need to do is create two important paradigm shifts about how we think about ourselves. The first is that we vibrate. So our body's a mixture of fluid and matter, and it's all held together by vibrational frequencies.
Some more than others, I'm sure.
Right, in different frequencies. Our cells actually sing to each other to communicate, which I think is fascinating. The second is that we are electric. So electricity exists in every cell, organ, and system that makes up the human body. In fact, even the mitochondria of our DNA is electric.
Right.
So once we accept those two paradigms about ourselves, then we can move into understanding bioenergetic therapy. So to break it down, bio means body. Energetics is the electromagnetic system that flows around and through the body. So bioenergetic therapy is a method of understanding how the electromagnetic flow works, how it can be disrupted, and then how to restore balance within all of the frequencies of the system.
So let's talk for a minute about the electric energy. What is that? People are going to say, wait a minute, what is that? And that's proven biologically, right? In the medical field. I mean, we all have an energy force, right?
Absolutely. In fact, there are many common medical tools being used, PET scans, CT scans, EEGs, EKGs, MRIs. They all work within the electromagnetic field of the body. There's also treatment tools, for instance, sonograms, and we use real high-frequency sonic impulses to break up things like kidney stones. So the medical field is very aware. So is physics. There's neurobiology studying it, quantum physics now. They've all scientifically proven the human electromagnetic field. And now what we need to do is start recognizing how vibrations affect us and how we're created with an innate ability to rebalance ourselves.
Right. So, people will always say it seems like we're under more stress now than ever. I actually believe that's true. I believe in modern society, at least how we live in America, so much is coming at us all the time. And because of it, we're all taking it in. We don't really take a time to pause. Therefore, we become more stressed, and therefore our bioenergetic system, right, is just off balance. So where do you come in and how do you help?
So when there's health in the body, all of the frequencies flow together in harmony. Chronic exposure to frequencies that were not designed to sustain can create the disharmony and help us fall out of balance and into dis-ease. And there are many different things that can do it. Chronic stress, as you mentioned, that is a huge one. And chronic stress over time affects not only the physical body, pulling the immune system out of balance and coursing chemicals through the body that were not sustained or designed to sustain, it also throws the frequencies in the electromagnetic field out of balance. When that's out of balance, nothing within the body can flow freely.
So what happens when it's out of balance? Do you get joint pain? Do you get headaches? Like, be real specific with me.
Absolutely. In fact, I can give you a couple of examples. I had a client who experienced low-grade fatigue and chronic infection that went on for a couple of years, and Western medicine could not find an underlying cause. When we assessed what had changed in her life 2 years prior, what we discovered was that a smart meter had been installed on her home, and at her work environment, they had put the Wi-Fi router directly above her head. Both of those emit constant RF emissions, and that can interfere with the electromagnetic field, lowering the frequency of it until her low-grade chronic infections manifested. As soon as she took measures to alleviate that emission that she was living under, her symptoms dissipated.
Interesting. So what did you do? I mean, what do you do to help her to the next level to get better?
The thing we have to do is assess what's going on with the client and what all the contributing factors are. So what I do is look, as a bioenergetic therapist, we assess all the things that are happening within their life, and then we look at what we call unconscious defense patterns. And those are ways in which a client has learned physically and mentally to defend themselves from perceived threats. And threats can be pathogens, they can be trauma, they can be distortions in belief systems, they can be held emotions, but they'll manifest themselves as patterns in the body. For example, muscle tension patterns, breathing patterns, patterns in the central nervous system, and then patterns in the frequency of the electromagnetic flow. And the flow is around the body, but it also runs through the body. So all of these give us signals.
I read in your book, I mean, you do what's called brain calm, you do PEMF therapy, you do something called Rife therapy. Can you very briefly just run me through what are those three?
Sure. Brain calm is a system of retraining the nervous system. So, for example, people who have been dealing with chronic anxiety and depression, their central nervous system has come out of balance.
Right.
Typically, their parasympathetic has not been able to kick back in and bring them back down. So we introduce a specific frequency into their midbrain. It's 7.8 hertz. It's the same frequency brainwaves are at when they're in calm or meditation state.
Interesting. How do you do that, though? How do you do that? Do you attach something to the brain?
I actually have a specific tool that you connect to a point on the neck where the three large nerves, the trigeminal, vagus, and glossopharyngeal nerves converge. And right at a specific point on the neck, they turn and go into the midbrain. So if you can introduce that specific signal over and over into the midbrain, it's just telling the brain we're calm. And really the midbrain is a neutral command post. Whatever signals it's receiving, it turns around and gives those signals back out to the body.
What about
so if you're calming the brain, it's calming the body.
Interesting. What about PEMF therapy?
So PEMF is pulsed electromagnetic field, and it's a specific mat that I use that courses up and down the body from 0.3 to 30 hertz. It does two things. It opens the microcapillaries of the body, which and increases white blood cell count. So when you open the microcapillaries and you get more blood supply, you're also getting more oxygen supply. All of that helps reduce inflammation and is an effective healing agent. The other thing that it does is balance the brain waves. So our brain waves are in that framework of 0.3 to 30 hertz. If we're constantly introducing that up and down the body, it's just balancing the brain so all the lobes can learn to work together in a calm state. When the brain's calm, the body calms.
Yeah, I mean, I like this because it's in lieu of popping a pill, or what so many, folks are trying to sell us nowadays, pop a pill, anxiety pill, whatever it is. And this is a way to do something naturally, which I'm all about.
It is pretty exciting to know that there is a non-invasive, non-pharmaceutical method of calming your body. I'll give you another example of a client who came to see me, and she had severe migraines. They were debilitating, and she had also developed anxiety. She had been prescribed a pretty strong drug to treat the migraine, but she was just aware of the long-term side effects and was hesitant to settle for that approach. It only took us 2 sessions before we were able to calm her nervous system enough so that she could get down to what she had been keeping down in her unconscious because it felt threatening. And in her life, the trigger for her was her own son's age. He was turning 6. And it turns out that was the same age that she had been traumatized as a child. And she had kept that down in her cellular memory, but away from her conscious memory for almost 40 years.
That's very interesting.
And isn't it fascinating? Once she was able to release the memory, shift her distortions about how fearful it is to be in the world, and recognize what she was dealing with, her migraines went away.
What do you do, though, after they leave your therapy and whatnot and they go back home? And let's say their home is stressing them out or their job is really stressing them out. What do you do? Because, you did all this great work and then they go home and the same people, or they go to work and those same people. And I know you're going to say it's how you approach it. But sometimes people are just a pain and they're causing anxiety. What do you do in a case like that?
It's absolutely true, Deborah. We live in a stressful society. But we can learn to recognize our own body signals and then bring ourselves back into a balanced state no matter what situation we're in. So the first thing we do is learn to pay attention to, did I tighten my shoulder muscles? Is my breathing shallow right now? The different signals that we use to defend. Then we bring awareness and breath to that area with the knowledge, in this moment, am I okay?
I like Go ahead. I like how you're talking about breath work, because I know that can be very relaxing and very, very healing. Should you close your eyes and just take that time? I like to call it just take a pause. Just close your. I don't do it enough. I'll tell you that.
You know what? It's not just taking a pause. When you bring your breath and actually imagine exhaling out through your area of tension, you're bringing yourself very present into your body and into the moment.
How long does a person need to do that before they finally just get themselves into a point of relaxation or calm?
Each person's different. Depends upon how long they've been in a chronic anxiety state, how fearful their thoughts are, which is the next piece that we would work on.
Fear.
Learning to recognize and shift thoughts. So thoughts, negative thoughts such as anger, fear, grief, sorrow, rage, those are all lower frequency thoughts. They lower the vibrational frequencies of the body.
Right.
When we have low frequency in the body, we're more susceptible to all sorts of chronic illness. But we can shift our thinking. This is an exciting...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, there used to be a time...
This is an exciting truth about our body. We have a tendency to think what I feel is reality, so then we start generating thoughts to support our feelings. But science has proven this. What we think affects our neurochemistry, and it's our neurochemistry that affects our feelings. So we can spend 10 minutes shifting our thinking, and our feelings will start changing.
And you can do it anywhere, right?
You can do it while you're driving. You can do it while you're sitting at your desk. You can do it anywhere.
Yeah, I did that a little today with the LA traffic. And I tried to just bring myself at a point of peace. It's not the easiest thing to do when you're trapped in LA traffic, but I tried it, and it was working until I had to find a parking spot. Then I had to do it again.
And you had to do it over. That's right. Initially, it does seem like I'm doing this a lot until it becomes habit. The third thing that we can do is become aware of how our body takes in energy around us. So the same way that our physical body needs food for fuel, our energetic body needs to be constantly drawing in a fresh supply of frequency. And we have several points along the body that we can do this. And depending upon the defense patterns we've developed, we can tighten down areas, but we can become aware of how we've done that and learn to relax and then allow those frequencies to come in a clean way. A specific example would be learning to open yourself and receive the 7.8 hertz frequency that Earth offers us.
Wait, whoa. What does that mean? A lot of people are going to say, what? What is that?
Right. So it's called the Schumann resonance. And wherever you stand on Earth, there actually happens to be an electromagnetic resonance or frequency. It's between 7.8 and 8 hertz. Anywhere you stand on Earth, it will vibrate that way. So to give a deeper understanding of it, when the first astronauts went into outer space and became ill, the scientists and doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with them. And this one scientist, Dr. Schumann, just in speculation said, well, we took them out of the Earth's frequency. Maybe if we reintroduce that into their environment, something will happen, which they did. And within 3 hours, the astronauts were fine.
Very interesting.
So, isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, but it makes sense because we're all part of the Earth, the atmosphere, the universe, the galaxy, everything. Wherever we came from, whether it was a giant explosion, I don't know. Different people have different beliefs. I mean, I believe in the Big Bang theory, and until proven otherwise. But we're all part of the same energy. The fact that we're even here is even a miracle, right? When you think about it,
right?
The collection of cells that gathered together just to form us. It really is miraculous. So, if you would, because we don't have that much time, Rife therapy. What is that?
Rife is a form of introducing into the body very specific frequencies based on over 80 years of research that have proven healthy cells vibrate, and whatever frequency you introduce to them, they just vibrate with it. Unhealthy cells, at a certain point, can't maintain the frequency and they dissolve or explode. So this research has shown very specifically for bacteria, for certain cancer cells, there's a booklet of about 30,000 listings, and it knows exactly what point the cells that are carrying those disease can no longer maintain itself. So it's introducing into the body those frequencies programmed to dissolve whatever disease has been found within a client.
And that's through mind, body? I mean, explain to me. You say introducing. How do you introduce this stuff?
Well, this is a specific instrument, and it's a frequency modulator, and you connect it to either your hands or your feet, and it introduces into the body an electric frequency. It usually rotates up and down between 10 different frequencies, and it's just constantly introducing it into the body.
You
do it for 30 days overnight.
Oh, so you said for 30 days?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you do this for 30 days overnight, and then that helps to balance whatever's going wrong in your body. I mean, are scientists and doctors using this for autoimmune issues and whatnot? I imagine they are.
Yes, actually, it's used extensively in Europe. The United States is
behind, of
slow.
Course.
Yeah, they're kind of slow on the uptake. However, it's becoming more prevalent.
Well, I have a thing to say about that. For pharmaceutical companies who get behind something like that, then you'd be surprised how much more popular something like that would be in the way we practice our medicine here in the United States. But so a little more about your book, Blessed with Energy. People who want to get into balance. A quick takeaway for them. What do you say that they should be doing? Quick takeaway.
So people who'd like to get into balance, first become aware that you have an electromagnetic field. And if there are particular belief systems or paradigms that cause you to say, oh, I'm not sure that's true, read the book, Blessed with Energy, because it presents the science, and it also presents scripture from several different faith systems to support the science. We are electromagnetic in nature.
And we can see it too.
That.
Can't we also see it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, does everybody have a different color? Is that like the aura? Like some people it's orange or yellow or blue, or it's always the same? Or is it the rainbow color?
Well, it's the rainbow colors. It's quite interesting. So all of our senses take in information in wavelength form, and then they get converted into electro frequencies within the body, and that's how the body communicates. So the reason we call it rainbow is because the frequencies of the field and the aura around our body correspond to the wavelengths of the colors in a rainbow.
So when you do tests like that on people, I mean, if they're angry, is it a certain color? Or if they're stressed out, a certain color? How does that work? Or is it always the same?
It's really more about frequency than it is about color. Some people use color therapy, and the colors would be relating to if someone's angry, they're probably holding it down in their lower belly. That's a common place to hold it. And that resonates with orange and red. But some people can have anger and hold it in their back. So it has much more to do with frequency than it does color.
So your book, Blessed with Energy, if people can't come out to see you, that would really give them the tools on how to go about healing in a natural way, right? According to what's going on with their body, bioenergetically, correct?
That is absolutely correct. It presents many different things across the board that you can use at home. It also presents ways in which belief systems, once they shift, can help some of the physical diseases that a person may be carrying start healing. It's just a way of recognizing we're mind, body, spirit, They all three work together. If one's out of balance, the others will come out of balance.
I mean, this clearly is nothing new in terms of, Eastern medicine has been practicing this all along. And frankly, we probably did as well until modern society crept up upon us. And then we decided to, pop pills and do all kinds of stuff like that, thinking that there's a better way. And now I think it's great that we're going back organically into how to heal ourselves, because I've always thought, I always tell my kids this, if it's out on the earth, if it grows on the ground or on a tree or whatever, it's there for a reason. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on very, very briefly. The food we put in our bodies. I mean, that says a lot too, even to the levels of stress that we're holding, right?
It is absolutely fascinating. From my training, everything is vibrational frequency. We are made of the same elements as the Earth's crust. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Plants grow in the Earth's crust. So we're made of the same elements that plants are growing from. What we put in our body vibrates with the frequency that it's grown in. So here's an interesting fact. Plant immune systems are very similar to human immune systems. So if we think about how we have genetically modified a plant's immune system so that it can tolerate chemical pesticides, and then we use that plant as a food, consider what it's actually doing in our body. And unfortunately, it's being shown to be factual. It is affecting us. I think GMOs are very hard on the body and the endocrine system.
I think that's why this is a certain generation of people that are getting Alzheimer's and all kinds of other diseases because of the pesticides that we use. I don't think they're being used as much, or even if they're even being used at all anymore. It's certainly not the types that they used, 30, 40 years ago. But that's horrible stuff. And even, processed foods, the crackers that you buy. I love those little crackers. But if you look at the ingredients, they're yay big. And, what is that doing to our body? I agree with you. And again, that's all from modern time, I think, the past 50 years.
It is. And for me, knowledge is empowerment. So this book presents information. And it's not just an opinion. It's based on science. So it's presenting scientific information. Here, educate yourself so that you can be aware of what you're doing to your body, or maybe to those you love, your children, your family. Another area to look at are all the plastics that are used to cook with, to wrap foods with.
My bottle of water that's sitting here that I probably should have put in.
Your bottle of water. Do you know that when a bottle of water heats over 90 degrees, which where I live happens every day in the summer, that plastics leach into the water? So
I know.
It's things like that we need to be aware of.
We do, because
Go ahead.
No, we keep stepping on each other. You go ahead. You're the guest.
Well, it's like cooking with Teflon. Teflon is very convenient, but it's heated over 425 degrees, which most cooking heats above that temperature. It begins leaching plastics into the food.
Why do we even have this stuff? It's terrible. I know. My kid who's in college, we were going to buy new pots, and he wanted to kind of pick out the least expensive. I said, no, not the Teflon. Let's get some good cast iron stuff. And he's like, are you kidding? It's 5 times the price. I said, it's not worth it. Just take it. The stuff that my mom cooked with.
For it, yeah.
Just the stuff my mom cooked with.
So if you think about this stuff, and then you think about the fact that 75% of the neurochemistry originates in our stomach, in our intestines and in our stomachs, and you think about what we're putting into it and how it can be messing with our neurochemistry, it's a contributing factor to the prevalence of anxiety and depression that we have in our culture.
Yep, right straight from the gut. And this is something that, of course, people can read about in the book as well. Blessed with Energy, Marcy Meyers. Now, how can people also get in touch with you if perhaps they want to, have some sessions with you and whatnot? How can we do that?
So there's a couple of ways. My website, blessedwithenergy.com, and I'll offer my phone number here, 913-707-2180. If you're not from this part of the country, there are people who have received my training. There's about 3,000 of them in the U.S. and in other countries. So I can help you find someone close to you as well.
Wonderful. And where are you located right now? You're over in, where are you? I'm
a suburb of Kansas City, so I'm in Lenexa, Kansas.
Yep, yeah. I could detect a little bit of an accent. So from Kansas City.
Seriously, see, we think we don't have one.
Just a little bit. Well, it was wonderful having you on. I really appreciate it. I'm urging everyone to go on Amazon or wherever else, perhaps on Marcy's website. Please pick up Blessed with Energy. It's a great read. It actually calmed me down just reading it. So that was wonderful. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you again soon. Okay.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you
Blessings to
so much. That was great. I needed it. I will take almost anything. Anyway, everybody, thanks for being here for another edition of Deborah Kobylt Live. And we'll be up in just a moment with another fascinating guest. See you next time.